I should have got more coffee. Hold on, let me get coffee. All right, now let's try this. Good morning. It's raining cats and dogs here in St. Louis, Missouri. I mean, like monsoon. That tastes so good. So much to catch you up on. I need to get situated. I'm going to read some product stuff because I got to do a demo tomorrow, but I want you to know what I'm demoing. And you know those moments where I always say fate turns on a dime? This week it flipped. Coin flipped. Severely it flipped. So good. If your coffee is bitter, put a little sea salt in your basket with your coffee grounds. It changes everything. It really does. How are you? How are you? Do I need my microphone? Can you hear me? I've got everything all rearranged. Again, go figure. And I curled my hair this morning. It's pouring down rain. Curled my hair. You know, superficial stuff. I haven't brushed through it. But I'm like, I'll let it go for right now because it'll fall probably in about 20 minutes. Don't mind my back. It's part of what I'm going to talk to you about because there's been some discoveries. Oh, okay. Anyway, let's talk about you. How'd you manage this week? How'd you manage? What's going on with you? What generation are you from? What are you? Are you a boomer? Are you a Gen Xer? Are you a millennial? Are you a Gen Z? Are you a beta something or another? I laugh at how these terms, according to how you are, you know, the year you were born. I'm a 1961 girl. Although yesterday I called somebody ma'am, same age as me, and she goes, "Why are you calling me ma'am? We're the same age." I said, "Because I'm being polite." She goes, "Oh, that's so sweet." She goes, "Then I guess I should call you ma'am." Whatever. Okay, call me ma'am. Sure, why not? Miss, ma'am. Hey, lady. The bones are aching this morning. So achy. But what year were you born? What generation are you? And according to how you were raised, what is this economy telling you because of the generation that you have been brought up in? I'll let you think about it. My generation, the boomer generation, going into Gen X, 61, and then what, Gen X starts 64, 63. I mean, it's close. We were taught, you go to school, you learn, be educated, get married, have kids, buy a house, buy a car, get a dog, have a bunch of kids, go to church, have Sunday meals, do things with your family, become something in your life, build a picket fence, climb a ladder. Hard work gets you where you need to be. Now, if you're a boomer, and so I've heard so many of these Gen Z types saying they hate boomers. Boomers are selfish, and boomers are entitled, and boomers are just outright mean, and they don't understand how hard life is. I'm sorry you feel that way. I really do. You have no idea. You really don't. You're kind of clueless. I'm sorry to say. I'm sure you're, a well put together, I hope, human being with good moral ethics. I hope your mom and dad raised you to be a good human. We are all a very judgy society. I included in that. I can be very judgy. I can be oh so critical. I can stand back and I can look at you and I can recognize patterns and I can probably tell you who made you like you are. It's kind of a curse. When I learned all this, when I was coming out of, studying life coaching and stuff, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Not really, because now I recognize patterns. I understand people basically for who they are, and I can see who's really entitled, who really creates situations and then plays the victim in the situation. I see people who want to play the martyr. I understand, I don't like it, but I see people who feel like woe is me is their life and everybody around them should tiptoe. I see it. I see it all. I recognize it. I recognize people who have silver spoons. I recognize people who really, really don't know what it's like to struggle. I see people who have inadequacies about themselves. They choose their own shortcomings, so therefore they can't get out of whatever box that they have put them in. I see real selfishness. I see real entitled. And then again, I see people who are so not educated, and they need to, as I said yesterday, they need to shut the fuck up, and they need to sit the fuck down. I guess I should tell you who I am. I'm Kitryn Marie. I'm an artist, writer, speaker, life and a business coach. Teach a variety of art and communication classes. I'm published author. When he had her available on Amazon. I reside in St. Louis, Missouri, where it is raining cats and dogs this morning. So it seems I am going to be off work, out of work, for a few weeks. The grass won't grow under my feet. Something else is I've got cooking in the background. But, so it turns out, it looks like I have a herniated disc, L5, that is affecting my SI joint, which is explaining why my whole right side keeps going numb. Why, when I am walking and had been carrying a 40-pound plus tray, which I have no business at doing at 65, why my leg decided it no longer really wanted to work. Or why my hand keeps going numb. Why I get this burning sensation. That L5 vertebrae plays a huge part in how you function. I always knew I had a bad back, epidurals, 3 babies, always been in food and beverage, and I'm one of those, I'll move a piano if I have to, don't get in my way. And in my younger days, if I decided I was going to put a patio in, I was going to do it myself. Just out of my way, let me do what I need to do, because I had the strength. Well, it's crazy when you get older how certain body parts are deciding for you what you can do and what you can't do. So I knew last week being off, there was nothing strenuous. I worked in my garden, been trying to stretch and do some things like I know how to do, because like I said, relatively I like to be thin and fit. I'm probably about 10, 15 pounds heavier than what I should be. But when you are content in life mentally and everything is calm and copacetic and you're at this homeostasis place in your life, it's easier to eat. It's easier to just relax. Although there are moments I cannot relax. I'm still up cleaning and doing things and haven't had the TV on. Although I did find Sam, the cooking guy, who I was looking for last week. I found him. Sat and watched 2 of his episodes, and then it was like, oh my God, I've been sitting way too long. No, I need to get up. But there's something about now knowing I will not go back to that restaurant, because last week while I was off, when I was relaxed, And I was trying to figure out what my direction was going to be and how I was going to do things, knowing my back was going to pretty much hinder me from doing a job that I mostly have done for really going on 33 years now. So I went in and I worked my Tuesday, I worked my Wednesday, I worked my Thursday. I knew by Tuesday I was not coming back. Now, financially, was that the smartest move to make? Most likely, no. But how are you to earn any money if your body physically cannot do the position that you've been hired to do? On top of the fact, the other factors in that job, having to share tips with the person that I worked with, the lack of business, the lack of marketing, too many chiefs, not enough Indians, quality of food, quality of anything that pertained to that particular entity. Do I wish them well? Of course I do. I'm not a vindictive type human. There is no animosity. I just knew it was time to go. Now, what do I have? What irons do I have in the fire? Stay tuned. It's going to get real interesting. It's going to get real interesting, and you're going to want to come along. Because when you were 65 and you are pivoting, once again, which I do really well. I always land on my feet. Always. I can stretch 15 cents. Although with the economy right now, it seems like I'm stretching 12 cents. 12 cents. So, again, I'm turning it back to you. What generation are you from? With what you know and how you were raised and who you are, how are you making all this money that's not coming in working for you? And what do you think you would need to do in order to change that situation based on the generation that you are? Think about it. Just think about it. Take a drink of my coffee. I was talking with one of my regular customers. Like I said, this particular establishment really didn't have regulars. It had the oddest bunch of people that I have ever experienced in my years of working in food and beverage. And depending on what side of a political field you believe or fit into, there were quite a few individuals that I just wondered who tied their shoes. Because that says a lot. It says a lot in this political diversity of which side you fall on. You can pick out who is your conservative, and you can pick out who is your far left liberal. And I don't say that out of animosity, but it has become so apparent that it makes some of our lives completely difficult, because it goes back to, again, I want to look at people and I want to criticize and I want to judge and I want to ask, who the hell ties your shoes? How do you get up in the morning? So, as I was talking with one of my regulars yesterday, he says, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go on to? And I'm like, well, I'm laying low because, I have to lay low for a little bit. Hot packs, cold packs, big breaks, some stretches. I do find that laying on the floor with my feet propped, letting my lower back, settle to the ground, that takes that pressure off. Very swollen. Very swollen. Remember a couple weeks ago I said my stomach, which I never had any kind of a stomach. I've always had a flat stomach from pulling out my back so bad. All those muscles were completely, I don't even know what you would call it. But anyway, when there's no strenuous pull on that vertebrae, my stomach goes back to being flat. So back to the conversation I was having with the person yesterday. I said, at this point in time, most people should be retiring or looking forward to retiring. We should. You work all your life, And I admit, I stayed home with my kids. I was fortunate. Should I have gone to work when my older ones were little? Probably. But I had my own little anxiety things. And because I had lost my mom at such a young age, I felt like, and I don't know why I even believe this, but I was like, I don't want to do to my children like my mother did to me. And not that she did it on purpose. She didn't leave this earth on purpose. Who knows what that plan from the higher up really was, leaving two small children to be cared for by, a conglomerate of a family. I didn't want to do that to my kids. I wanted to be hands-on. And even when my youngest came along, when I was turning 40, I was working. I had gone to work when the older ones were in, 3rd grade, 5th grade, went into the food and beverage industry, made a really good living. $900 a week, working 4 days a week back in 94, 95, But as we progress through life, some pivot in careers, some stay in careers, some are misplaced once they end a career and they don't know where they're going or what they're going to do or how they're going to survive. And I think because I like change and because I don't like to be stagnant, I don't like to be stuck, I don't want to conform, I don't want to be put into a box and managed by people who can't tie their shoes or people who are bipolar, manic, schizophrenic, and there's nothing but toxicity in a work environment. When you study psychology and life coaching and all those things, those patterns are very recognizable. And I think once any of us, that includes all of you, once you realize where the toxicity is, and then you're choosing to stay, knowing it is hurting you mentally, physically, detrimentally, it's only your fault if you don't leave the environment. So as I'm talking to my customer yesterday, I said, I don't get to retire yet. Not yet. I don't want to. I want to work. Very much I want to work. I want to work on my second book. I want to get back into my photography. And yes, I will go work for somebody else. There are things lined up. Like I said, I'm just not talking about it yet. Was charging devices this morning. I went around the house. It's so funny. I was looking for like one of those big paper clips, the one that's got the clamp and then the thing that you push over, not like a regular paper clip. Because I was getting some stuff together. I have a meeting on Monday. Anyway, not a regular paper clip, but one of the bigger ones. And thought I had some in my studio room or whatever, and I'm going through drawers. Well, that opened Pandora's box because I'm like, I didn't know that I had this. I forgot I had this. So I found a vlogging camera. I found my video camera. I found every dog barking collar that I have owned, I think, my entire life. And really, Shug is the only one I put the barking collar on because Frances, the little one, she barks right through her collar. I need a different one. And the favorite one that I had, because Shug likes to get into water, kind of fried it out. Didn't hurt her none, but it just fried it out. And I can't find the same one. And now because I'm going to be stretching 12 cents over the next few weeks, picking and choosing really what the priority is. Everything mostly is caught up in the household, so I'm okay with it. But that's just how I live. That's how I've lived my whole life. And it's not a game. It's not a game. It's a process that I have gotten used to when you are surviving bare minimum. I'm not materialistic. I don't need to have the best, the latest, the greatest. Just want, utilities paid, some food. A few little apparatuses to help me make money, because that's how I started my business, with nothing. An idea, some schooling, some talent, some creative ability that I could turn into something. And now that we are seeing Dr. Mengele come out, when I told everybody in the very beginning, don't do that, Don't take that. Don't believe that. I wish many would have listened to me when I said it, because those many that I know are now sick. There's that after effect from taking all of those things and believing all of those things. So, as I was going through drawers last night, and I have to say I did go to the pawn shop one day last week, and I really was looking forward. I love that pawn shop over by my house. Absolutely love it. There were some beautiful pieces of jewelry in there. I still have one ring, my mother's engagement ring, that I need to get fixed. That was cut off my hand at one time because I had fallen and broken my hand. But I took my 3-tier necklace with the moon and the stars and everything. It had broke and I couldn't fix it. But I always go to look to see what, devices they have. I'm not a regular typical pawn, store kind of girl. They had, though, a Rebel Canon for $200. And I'm looking for another camera because I had bought that small rig where you put it on top of your camera. This has an automatic flash, so it won't fit on here. But it slides on where you would put your flash. And then you hook up your phone so you can take video while you were taking pictures. I love doing photography. Love doing photography. So I was looking at that Rebel Canon, and I'm like, I just can't do it. I cannot take that extra money and buy one more apparatus when I do have this camera, and I love this camera. This is my Nikon, is it a Coolpix? This is old. I have a Fuji camera also, but the toggle switch on it is broke, and nobody fixes the toggle switch. That's the camera I used when I first started, doing photography and was doing content creating before content creating was even a thing. When everyone said, you're just playing on the internet, you're just playing on the computer. No, I was trying to build a business. How's your business all going? How's that all working for you? What field did you end up in? And, if people would have listened to me when I was trying to explain the direction in which I was going. But anyway, that camera, I'm going to link my Cash App. I'm not too proud to beg. I want that camera. It's $200. You want to donate $5? Figure a bunch of you might want to donate $5. Build me up to that $200. Let me go get that camera because I'm going to need it for the things that I have coming up after this month. So anyway, I was charging devices this morning. Got my little 360 device going. I'll play with that later on because I'm still real not sure I like it, but I have it and I got to figure out how to use it. Got my camera all charged. I found all my batteries for all of that. What else? Got to go to the grocery store. I want to get a bunch of meat to stretch for the next couple weeks because the kid eats leftovers, so that's no big deal. I've got plenty of food in the house, but I'm going to lead into one of the newest side gigs that I'm doing, because I have done food and beverage for so long. It's very easy for me to talk, and like I always say, I can either talk you to death or I can force feed you. I really suggest the latter. Let me force feed you. Especially since I have all those tomatoes and eggplants and peppers. Oh my God, you want some sauce? I have sauce. You don't know what you're missing. And if I was in the right environment, I'd be canning all these things and selling it. Anyway, so one of the gigs that I picked up, it's for a promotional company. I take a drink. I'm talking way too much. It's still raining too. I'm glad it's raining. I was in the garden this morning in Degata Davida, and I was like, God, it needs to rain. It needs to rain. And since my water bill this summer, it's really, really high, I'm glad. I wish I wouldn't have filled up the dog's pool, though, knowing I should have known it was going to rain. And let me just say, too, the dogs love that I'm home. And you keep seeing this bruise on me. That's from my dogs pawing me. I bruise extremely easy. I have bruises that you would not even believe. On my legs, I look like Blue's Clues. But anyway, the promotion company. Promotion company. Expert Taste is who they are. And this particular product, which I don't partake in, and I'm trying to learn all the ins and outs on it so I can best represent the company, but I want you to look this up. Torch Iced Tea Light. They have a peach flavor. They have a watermelon strawberry lemonade. They have a watermelon limeade. They have a blue raz lemonade. And then they have a black cherry. It is infused with THC. And I'm not real familiar with how the THC works because, like I said, that is not anything that I ever really was a part of. It just, my counterpart yesterday when her and I were rolling silverware, we were talking silly stuff. We talk silly stuff all the time. And she said, did you ever do any drugs in your life? And I said, I am goofy enough as I am. I do not need any other stimulant to make me any sillier than I am. So I was telling her, you know, I've got to learn about this product because this is what I'm representing. See, now my hair's crazy. Ingredients. It is filtered carbonated water, natural flavors, citric acid, sodium citrate, you know, all the preservatives that I put in all this crap that we're drinking. Malic acid, potassium sorbate, which is a preservative, sodium benzenate, another preservative, sucrose, and hemp-derived cannabinoid encapsulations. ENCAPSULATIONS. You say it. Encapsulations. It is 1 can, 0 calories, 0 fat, 140 milligrams sodium, 0 carbohydrates, 0 sugars, 0 protein, but it has 28 milligrams of potassium. So again, it is Torch THC Seltzer, and it's a light. And then there's a tea. What would I say the tea was? There's a lemonade, strawberry lemonade. Where's the tea? There's a peach tea. There it is. So look up Torch products. And the description, this is what I needed to do. I'm going to read it as it is off of the website. Blah. Enjoy a timeless favorite with our iced tea lemonade THC seltzer. This refreshing beverage blends the bold, smooth character of classic iced tea with the bright, citrusy zing of fresh lemonade. The result is perfectly balanced flavor profile that's both crisp and satisfying, offering a clean, refreshing finish with every sip. I should do commercials, really, or voiceovers. Whether you're cooling off on a warm day or relaxing with something familiar and flavorful, maybe I shouldn't do voiceovers. This seltzer delivers effortless refreshment. What is the, I don't want to do the lab report. But anyway, this is the product that I am going to be demoing tomorrow and a couple other Fridays in August. I will be working my banquet job only one Saturday. They still don't have a whole lot going on. And then, like I said, I have other things that are, like going on. What is another product they have? They have a high-potency seltzer. What is that? That looks interesting. Anyway, look up Torch. and I think you can probably get it in any of your liquor stores, any of your grocery stores. And it is embedded, encapsulated with a little THC, if that's your thing. Now, at the grocery store, this is the point I was going to make. For sampling, they do not put the THC in the samples. You are just getting what the flavor of the liquid will be. By law, which is very understandable, they cannot put that in for sampling. And of course, this is for anyone 21 years and older, because it is in the liquor department. Although I understand there is, that product that is now legal, which I still don't understand how they made any of that legal, but who am I to say anything? Who am I to criticize or judge? It's only me. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to be doing here and there. If you are looking for extra gigs, girls, ladies, you like to dress up, you like to talk, you like being in that type of industry in the public eye, because I don't ever want to wait tables again, and I don't think I ever want to bartend again unless it comes down to I have to, because I don't know if I could deal with somebody who is an addict anymore. The 8 years I worked at one particular place with some of the customers that I think pretty much made me lose my mind. I don't think I could do that again. It still gives me like post-traumatic stress disorder, and the bad dreams I have with a few of the customers that came into that place. Raise your children better. Grow up to be a decent human being. Don't take your life's misery out on whoever is serving or bartending for you. Anyway, again, I digress. Ladies, if you're looking for an extra gig, that's where I was going with this. Look up some of the promotional companies. Look up Cat's Events. Look up Bliss Staffing. Look up Expert Taste. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. Go to your computer, just do liquor demo sampling, and look to see what companies come up in your area. And it pays really well. This particular gig pays me $30 an hour. It's a $10.99, which I'm okay with, because I still think come January I will be filing for my Social Security. I'm waiting to see what next year's income to earn will be. And although I have 2 years left for my full, at this point, what does it matter? When you were trying to make ends meet, you were trying to do all the things you need to do, and because they cannot separate, Medicare from Social Security, which is a whole other ball of wax that I don't want to get into at the moment, because Roosevelt should have never put the two together. Do some history on that if you want to understand what Roosevelt's big role was, what his legacy was with Social Security and the Depression, and so on and so forth. But anyway, we're doing what we need to do in order to survive during this time. I did see, though, and I'll just touch on this real briefly because I heard about it and I'm glad, they are dropping Medicare Part D, the drug program part of it, because the president is putting in that big, beautiful bill where if you need a particular prescription, it will be available to you, and these insurance companies cannot hike up their cost and their prices, and it turns around and it affects those of you that are all on some prescription medicine, and those of you that are addicted to your prescription medicine. Let's really think about your life, and let's really talk about, and I touched briefly on this in my vision board class, let's really talk about what your health issues are and how you've become so dependent on this entity to fix everything in your life, when you are not addressing the root cause to why you're even on all of these substances. I'm not a doctor, not a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. And like I said, we just touch base on this when we are talking about your health and the things that you digest into your body. But I believe I've been on here long enough. My Cash App is $, Kitryn Marie 17 if you want to donate so I can go get that camera, because it's a nice one, and I really need it for what's coming up in the next few weeks. What was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. But I'm Kitryn Marie, an artist, writer, speaker, life, and a business coach. If you are interested in any of my community communication classes, reach out kitrynmarie@gmail.com. Going to be working on my Printify shop today. I added some really new fun things. kitryn-marie.printify.me. Want to learn more about me? I do see that AI has entered the chat. Now when you ask AI, who's Kitryn Marie? Wow. I'm pretty impressed by all that. And although I'm not real sure how I feel about AI on a lot of things. But I was like, wow, AI now has even recognized who I am. So that was kind of fun. And you can go over to my website, kitryn-marie.weebly.com. If you're interested in a photography session, maybe you have a product, maybe you need some marketing, maybe you need some, I don't know, community events managing, let me know. Like I said, I got a bunch of things that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Grass does not grow under my feet. My main concern right now is my back, because one wrong move, and if it doesn't heal, it could lead to surgery, or worse, I may not be able to walk at some point in life, and we can't have that. I still want maybe one more horse or two somewhere along the line. But enjoy your day, whatever the weather is. Be happy, be blessed, be thankful for everything. Remember, fate turns on a dime, and it is up to you to decide what side of that coin you want to be on. Be prepared when, that coin flips. Act accordingly. Don't retreat. Address it head on. Complete the mission. Complete the goal. Don't sabotage the possibility of having something greater and better in your life. You can always rely on your miserable comfort zone, but it's when you step out of all that, the whole world opens up, and that's exactly what's going to be happening for me in the next few weeks. But y'all take care, reach out, enjoy your day, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.